Welcome everyone. Before we kick off with the presentation, I would just like to let you know that this presentation will be recorded and shared on EH Urban Mobility YouTube channel on our Raptor website. So we're very excited today for our first info day of the year for Raptor and especially our Agile Raptor innovation call. So I will just start sharing the agenda of the day. We'll start first with an introduction of our Director of Innovation and Strategic Alliance, Gareth McNaughton. And then we'll have a call overview so you can understand who can apply to the Agile Innovation Raptor call, the timelines, as well as the call scope. So we'll be introducing the 12 city challenges that we have this year. Then we'll cover the key points for applicants, budget, financial sustainability contribution. And then my colleague Taylor will introduce the Awards Force platform, which is used for the application process for startups and SMEs. Then we'll cover the evaluation criteria, evaluation stages, as well as the awarded projects that would need to know about their expectations and deliverables. And then we'll cover the next steps, especially the Q&A events that we have organized next week on the 21st and 22nd of March, and the live Q&A. So this is when we'll be able to answer all of the questions you have. So, and we know there is already some questions coming in. So without further ado, I will leave the floor over to my director, Gareth McNaughton. Over to you, Gareth.
Hello, Jan. Hello, everybody. So it's absolutely, this is my favorite time of the year, Raptor time. So it's just so you know, give you a little bit of history on this. The idea for Raptor actually came from a cooperation that I worked with UCL, the Bartlett School, and our favorite friends, Imperial Business School. We came together and found a way that these big European projects, sometimes they can kill innovation. Even the life cycle of a year development and then evaluation and a 3-month, wasn't that agile. It wasn't actually as responsive. So we came up with this option for rapid applications, and there was a great potential for us to fail miserably, but there was also a great potential for us to succeed. And when we looked at the big projects, you know, some of those big projects, they failed as well. So was it really a risk? And when we did this, we had to clear with the legal that we would take a hit if this failed. So now, a few years later, the model worked. And the model worked, I would have to say, it tended to have a more commercial readiness approach. It tended to pick the SMEs development really fast. But one of the best things was that cities loved it. Our cities loved sitting down, discussing among themselves with innovative companies, challenging their thinking, and said, well, why can't I do this? And who's in charge of that data then? Well, give me access. And so it's a good thing for both our cities to think differently and to feel as though that they've got some control and to test. It's a bit like, I guess lots of your kids will, or your children or your friends' children will know, scratch and sniff, these little cards that you get to scratch and then you sniff it and you see what it's like, if you like it or not. This is a bit like Raptor, okay? So you get to test some of your great solutions in cities that are willing to let you make mistakes and learn with them. Okay, so the idea of Raptor is agile, it's fast. You're going to have some issues and some challenges, but my God, it accelerates the work. So I'm going to hand over to you, a fabulous team. Now, importantly, remember, we're going to keep the complexity of the EU and the structures as far from you as possible. That's what we're trying to do here. There's a whole load of weirdness behind it. We're going to try and take care of it. But today we'll have to let you know what some of the weirdness is, but we don't want you to lose the excitement for what you're doing and what you're capable of. Okay, so with that, you have very two competent hosts with Jan and with Taylor today. Okay, good luck, and we look forward to your wonderful applications. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Gareth. And now, without further ado, I will hand it over to my dear colleague Taylor, who will give you an overview about the call, and then we'll present the city challenges. Over to you, Taylor.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jan, for the introduction, and thanks, Gareth, for joining us this morning to give the kickoff to this event. So I am here to give an overview of this exciting opportunity that is the Raptor program and some important information about the call this year. So on our first slides, first of all, what is Raptor? Okay, so Raptor is an acronym. It stands for Rapid Applications for Transport, and it is a city-driven challenge-based program. That means every year when we start Raptor, our cycle of Raptor, we are first talking to our cities that will participate in this year's program in order to find specific challenges related to urban mobility that they would like to solve with solutions from the most innovative startups and SMEs around our ecosystem in Europe. And also importantly, Raptor is an agile innovation program. So that means that we act fast, we act on light budgets, and we make direct interventions in order to develop and to test these innovative solutions that we find through the Raptor program to address the city challenges. So what happens in Raptor, and what we're kicking off now, is our call to find these best solutions to our city challenges. And the best solutions that are selected through this call, through this competition, then will participate in our 5-month program later this year, where you get to develop your product and work with the city, and a couple of other benefits that I'm going to explain in a later slide. But this is basically Raptor in a nutshell. So on our next slide, you can see our Raptor map. So Raptor is no longer something brand new. We started a few years ago, as Gareth mentioned, and you can see here that we have already operated in many cities and had quite a lot of pilots in our short lifespan of Raptor. And we started out with just 4 cities, and the reception to our original 4 city pilots was overwhelmingly positive. And we have been able to scale Raptor to all of these different locations you see on our map, including the ones that have the names written, which are the cities that will participate in our program this year. And we are very excited to introduce them. So on the next slide, you can see this very nice graphic that has little postcard images from our 12 cities that will be participating in Raptor this year. So today we don't have time to go into great detail or much detail at all about the specific city challenges. What I encourage you to do is to have a look at the Raptor website, where you can see the detailed description of the challenges for each of these cities. And we have 2 events next week where representatives from these cities will be joining us again on Zoom to actually give an overview of their city challenges. Okay, so we don't have time for that today, but just to give you the preview of the cities that are in the program and to invite you to our events next week. So on the next slide, I want to focus now on some of the details of the actual call. So the Raptor call that we are introducing today invites startups and SMEs to submit their best solution, but that means that it needs to be a new or significantly improved product, service, or solution that specifically addresses one of the Raptor City challenges. Okay, so you can, if you're an existing startup SME, if you have something in mind, you can propose something new that you would like to develop. Or you can say, we already have a solution, but it needs to be significantly scaled up, improved, adapted, modified. And that also would be suitable for you to submit to Raptor. So that's what we're looking for in our proposals. And on the next slide, we have some information about who can apply. So these are the rules. You need to have been registered in the last 10 years. Okay, so if you're coming from an entity that's older than 10 years, you would not be eligible for this call. And additionally, your business registration needs to be based in an EU member state or a third country associated to Horizon Europe. And we are including the UK and Switzerland. Okay, so if you're registered officially in one of these areas, then you are eligible. And Another criteria we have is that you cannot have received funding already for the same product. So it's fine if you are already in our EAT urban mobility community and maybe you have received some funding for some other product or for some other program that you've been involved in. This is okay, but we cannot fund the same thing. Okay, so if you're submitting a proposal to Raptor this year, you need to propose something new that you haven't already gotten funding for in the past. And then finally, when you apply, you need to have a PIC ID number from the EU participant portal. Okay, this is not something to stress about because if you don't already have this, you can simply Google EU participant portal and very simply fill in the information about your startup and say, this is my name, contact information. They'll ask you some questions and then you will be given this PIC ID number. So if you are planning to apply, please keep in mind that you do need to go through this step of getting this PIC ID number in order to make sure that your application will be eligible. Okay, on our next slide, we are moving into the call timeline. So this is just to give you an idea of what is going to happen in the next couple of months for those of you who are looking to apply for the call. So our competition is of course open now. So this is the period when you can apply. We opened on the 6th of March, actually, so just a few days ago. And this will be closing on the 6th of May. So there's still quite a lot of time to develop your applications. What happens after the deadline to submit your proposals is that we have a 2-phase evaluation process. So first of all, we will go, well, I'll explain this a tiny bit more in detail later, but just for your information, we have this 2-phase evaluation process that will take place in this summertime, so in May and June, and then we're expecting by the end of June, we would inform the startups that will be awarded this year for the Raptor challenges. And just to clarify as well, for each of our 12 city challenges, there can be one startup or SME selected as the winner, as the awardee for the challenge. So by the end of the summer, we will have our 12 startups SMEs that will be joining the Raptor program. And then we will go into the solution development phase, which is the very exciting part after the application process that goes from August until December. And on our next slide, I have a more spread out timeline to give you the idea. So July, we've left this blank because there's a couple of administrative things that are going to happen. Jan will explain that later. And then in December, there's also a couple of administrative things that will happen. But the very interesting and exciting thing is what actually happens from August to December. So the startups that are selected for the Raptor program actually get to participate in this period of time where they are developing their solution for the city challenge. They get to participate, plan, and then enact at least a week of an in situ demo, which is a live testing of the solution that they've created. And they also get to participate in a customized mentoring program. Those are the highlights, but on the next slide, I will tell you a little bit more about what else you would receive. So it's not just this development phase. There is, of course, also some funding that is awarded to the startups selected for the Raptor program. So with this call, we are able to give 35K to each of the startups that is selected for solving the city challenges. As I mentioned, you get to do this live demonstration testing with your city. You also, of course, will get one dedicated city contact person. So this is something where you are expected and encouraged to work directly with the city throughout the Raptor process. And the city will be responsive and supportive to ensure that you can actually get your solution developed in a way that specifically fits the needs of the city. In some cases, we may be able to offer some office space, either in our EAT urban mobility office, or it may sometimes be the case that the city that's hosting the challenge is able to offer some office space, particularly if you're there visiting. But that's something that depends on the city. And then we also offer a flexible tailored mentoring program. So during that phase from August until December, we have a startup mentoring expert who we've worked with in the past, who meets all of the 12 startups that will be in the program this year, one-to-one, and discusses what are your needs, how can we support you. So we will also offer this service as a part of the Raptor program included to ensure that your needs are getting met and that you can have some support in scaling up and bringing your solution to the city. And then, of course, in the end, you may have the potential to be invited to participate in other EAT urban mobility programs. So that is the core of the Raptor program. And my final slide before I hand it back to Jan is that I just wanted to highlight what we mean when we're talking about this live demonstration, this in situ testing, because I think this is something that is super interesting for the startups that are in the Raptor program, is that they are actually expected to do this demonstration. And it's not just a 1 hour demonstration where you show your technology or your product. And yes, indeed, it's working. It actually needs to be operational for at least 1 week. So sometimes this actually could be a full month. Other times this could be 3 weeks. Sometimes this means like 2 days, and then you go back and work on it, and then another 2 days, and then you go back and work on it. It really depends on the solution, and it really depends on the city. But just to highlight that this is a really core and important, interesting part of the Raptor program, is that all of the cities in our program have made a commitment to ensure that the solutions developed through Raptor get to be tested live within their geography. So that is the overview of the Raptor program, and I'm happy to hand it back to Jan.
Thank you very much, Taylor. Wow, I must say I'm super excited about it. That's very nice to have our Raptor again this year, and we see many people on the call, so that's fantastic. And now I will take you through the different challenges that we have this year. 12 challenges in total, which is great, and we have challenges from all over Europe, which proves the success of the program. So as Taylor explained, we'll have 2 Q&A sessions dedicated to these 12 challenges next week. So we'll have the first 6 on the 21st of March and the other half on the 22nd of March. I will come back to this later. But just giving you a brief overview about the cities that are involved in the Raptor program this year and the challenges we have. So first of all, the CTO, and excuse me if I mispronounce any cities' names. I don't speak 12 different languages, unfortunately. So we start first with Ashka in Hungary, who's looking to optimize its public transportation network to address local and regional mobility issues. Then we have Akureyri in Iceland, who wants to enhance intermodality between public transport and micromobility solutions. Then Ankara in Turkey, who has a challenge related to the micromobility operations optimization, especially for the city electric bike sharing system. Then we move to the metropolitan area of Barcelona, where EIT Urban Mobility Headquarters is, was looking for solutions to leverage data collected with the application the city has for loading and unloading zones for logistics in order to improve logistics policies in the metropolitan area. Then the capital region of Denmark, Challenge wants to bring price transparency for electric vehicle users and ensure the charging infrastructure can keep pace with the ongoing rising demand. Then the city, back to Hungary, with the city of Debrecen, was looking for sustainable ways to better connect commuters from suburbs to the public transport network. And the last 6, so we go to Slovakia with Dubnica nad Váhom, where the challenge is to look at innovative ways to provide safe and accessible infrastructure for active mobility users who are living in the wider city center. This also includes the residential areas. Then the city of The Hague in the Netherlands wants to improve the in-city customer journey to the main Scheveningen beach recreational area by modes of sustainable transports on the peak days. We heard it gets very crowded there. And then we go to Sweden with the city of Helsingborg, who would like to understand the behavior of citizens and be able to develop a bicycle culture in the city. This could include ways to measure or define it, for example. And the last 3 challenges, we go to Belgium with Mechelen, where the city is looking for solutions to measure the CO2 emissions and act on its possible reduction for freight transport. And now we end in Germany, first with Munich, where the city is looking to identify individual mobility patterns to understand better how passengers use public transport to attract more people to environmentally friendly modes of transport. And last but not least, with the Stuttgart region, who wants to improve the large event commuting experience by diversifying transportation options. The city would like to relieve congestions at arrival or departure and increase accessibility options for everyone. So this is a short 2-3 minutes overview of the 12 challenges we have. If you want to know more, we have the full description of the challenges on our Raptor website, www.raptorproject.eu. And I recommend you to join our Q&A sessions next week. Now, the key points for applicants. So this is something quite new. And the new methodology that we try to implement is the lump sum through the Raptor program. And we are the first of all of the EIT to use the new tool at our disposal, which is this lump sum. Basically, the purpose of it is so startups and SMEs involved in the Raptor program don't have the heavy-handed EU project and reporting requirements. There is no consortium members. You will be working directly with the city and with EIT Urban Mobility. So there is a big part of trust in this model. So in advance, to be eligible, we need to know you've got cost categories we agree on and that your costs will be eligible. And we'll show you an example in the next slide. For Raptor, it's fairly simple. As you will receive a 35,000 euro subgrant, we want you to identify the budget assigned to each task and the expected ending date. So you give us sufficient confidence that we can give this money to you and operate according to the model. And importantly, it must be in line with the normal practices of your business, which you've already defined and documented. As long as it's there, it's great for us. So we don't have to check that, for example. It has to be reasonable and not excessive. And most importantly, all expenses have to be necessary and in line with the activities proposed. In this case, the solution you will develop to address cities' challenges through Raptor, there are some top levels that are actually quite simple compared to the heavy duty requirements some EU projects can ask. And it's the perfect model for Raptor, which is a program where things are implemented quickly. So now, to give you a bit more details about how it looks like in reality when you prepare your application, we'll see the example in the next slide. So our application process is really simple. And Taylor will take you through the whole step-by-step approach in a few minutes. Raptor winners receive a 35,000 euro subgrant. The first 50% will be paid at the beginning of the project. The rest at the end, once the minimum 1 week demonstration, the demonstration of your solution was confirmed by the city. So what you're seeing here is the budget breakdown. You can find it on our What's Force when submitting your application. We have first the personal cost. That can be either employee salaries, startup and SME owners. If you have a base of similar projects, it can be an estimate of how much it would be in this case. Second, subcontracting costs. For example, if you need support on a technical element of your solution. Third, travel and subsistence. For example, if you're an SME based in, let's say, in Spain or in Portugal, and will implement a hardware solution in Stuttgart or Munich in Germany, of course, you would probably have to go on site to install your solution. And that's, of course, eligible. The fourth equipment that you, the fourth part is the equipment, sorry, that you might need to buy to develop your hardware solution. It could be an IoT device, digital cameras, if your solution is about pedestrian road safety as an example, and that will be included. The categories 5, 6, and 7 include other costs, other goods, works and services, financial support to third parties, and internally invoiced goods and services. Let's say you might need an engineer come in and install an IoT device on a lamppost, that would apply. And the last category, indirect costs, that are always 25% flat rate of personal, travel, and subsistence and equipment. Subcontracting and financial support in this case, financial support to third parties do not have indirect costs. Now, I will hand it over to my colleague Arthur, who will give you a an introduction about the financial sustainability model. Over to you, Arthur.
Thank you, Jan, and welcome everybody to this Info Day of Raptor. So for those of you that are familiar with EIT Urban Mobility, we have this financial sustainability model, which means that over the years, we usually receive an amount from the European Commission, but unfortunately, this is not something that is sustainable over our entire life. And therefore, we need to become financially sustainable in order to be able to keep providing these services and these grants for new innovations. And the way we do this is through what we call the FSM mechanism, so the financial sustainability mechanism. The idea is that we're providing you with this grant, you help cities and you help create these new innovations that are going to take Europe one step forward to these more sustainable cities, because that's at the end what we want. But at the end, you create a new product that's going to enter into the market. And once you have created this product through the FSM, that it can either be revenue share, equity, or fee per transaction. I'll go into detail a bit later. You provide us with a certain amount over the course of usually 5 years, which contributes to our perpetual innovation fund. So again, the idea is to have this kind of circular system a little bit where we provide you money, we help you develop this activity, you create a new product, a new solution, a new service, and therefore it's going to be sold in the market. And once it's sold, at the end of every year, usually around the 5 years afterwards, the project it's finalized, we ask for this mechanism that we came on agreement to. So if we can move on to the next slide. So the idea is for these mechanisms to be the revenue share or fee per transaction or equity. Now, the idea of revenue share or fee per transaction is depending on your solution. Let's say it's a new system it's a new license, for example, that you're selling of a new software as a service that you're selling to a city. We usually tend to go more of a revenue share. But if it's, let's say, for example, a new system when people who own an electric vehicle can charge from sustainable energy, or for a system of reuse batteries or so on, since there's a transaction going every time you use it, a fee per transaction could also be an option. So usually a revenue share or fee per transaction, you mention it during the proposal, you establish it, you say, like, let's say a revenue share, I'm planning on, out of every product that I sell, should be a 5, 10, 15%. It's going back to EIT. And then afterwards, based on the numbers and so on, we usually, we come to an agreement that it's beneficial for EIT Urban Mobility, but that doesn't mean that it's not beneficial for the company. It means that it's going to be something that does not represent a huge financial issue to the new entity, because that's not what we want. Another option will be to go for equity, meaning you provide us with a percentage of your company in order to make sure that in the years to come, we'll help you develop this. And then in the years to come, we somehow get a revenue income over the years. So basically, that's the financial sustainability model. You will see that it's quite easy in the proposals. Again, it's something that you have to be comfortable with providing us. Of course, we always revise it and we always look into it with great detail, because sometimes numbers need to be realistic. They cannot be very out there. They need to be realistic. We understand that innovation sometimes comes with a risk, and we're aware of it, but we're okay with it. And that's a little bit of the financial sustainability. And lastly, we have the innovation advisor, which is an opportunity for you, which is a system and a process that we have developed outside of Raptor, which basically what we do is, at a cost, we help you, after the project it's implementing or during the implementation of the project, we help you with mentoring, we help you with the product and market validation, and we help you, define an even more successful business plan, as well as helping you find new clients, new markets where your solution can be implemented, as well as if your solution is not ready to be into the new market yet and you feel like you want to do some more pilots, we can also help you find those. So the idea here is, if you're interested in this kind of service that can help you go into the market a bit deeper and with our team and our network, feel free to add it into the proposal in a little space on the financial sustainability, say that you're interested in the innovation advisory, and we'll get back to you to go into more detail into it and how we can help you. And on the financial sustainability, I think that's pretty much it. So back to you, Jan or Taylor. And again, thank you all for showing up to this info day. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you very much, Arthur. So now I'll hand it over to Taylor for the application process. Over to you, Taylor.
Hello again. Okay, so I will go through what you need to submit for the application, and then I'll briefly explain how the evaluation process works. Okay, so as Jan said earlier, our application process is very simple. So I'm just basically here to confirm that. Now, where do you apply? We have a tool that is called the Awards Force, and as you can see, it's customized to EAT Urban Mobility. You can see the URL here. And if you do not have an account on this platform, then of course, the first step is simply to register. And you can see that it's very simple. First name, last name, email, password. And once you have registered, on the next slide, you can see basically what the interface will look like. So once you've registered, you will get an email. You need to go to your email and confirm the email, and then you will be able to view this page where you will see this little hello with your name and this kind of purple pink button that says start entry. Okay, so when you click start entry, what happens is on the next slide, you'll move on to this page where it will show you the category of Raptor, because that's the only thing we have open right now on this platform. And then a drop-down menu where you can see the 12 city challenges that will be in Raptor this year. So you select the city challenge that you want to apply for, and then it will open the application. The application for every city challenge is the same. Okay, so it's like one application. It's just you need to tell us which city challenge you're submitting an application to. If you want, I've already seen there's some questions about this, and I'll just answer it now because it's relevant. If you want to submit your solution to multiple city challenges, this is fine. You, of course, have to submit multiple applications. So if you wanted to submit to 2 city challenges, for example, because you feel that your solution is relevant to both of the city challenges, that's fine, but you do need to submit 2 applications and, of course, adapt what you say about your solution to make sure that it fits the application. Okay, so you choose the city you want to apply for. And then on our next slide, you can see that there are these tabs. Okay, so we've moved on to this general information tab. General information is, as it implies, it asks for your name, your title, your email, your gender. There's some information here that's standard information that we're required to collect by the EAT, by the European Union, and then some of it that we're curious about, but it's just classic information. Your address, how do we get in touch with you? This is where we will ask for that PIC ID registration number for your business and things like that. On this general information tab, there's nothing that will actually be evaluated. It's just we need some basic info about who you are and your startup. Now, the next 3 tabs are the ones where you actually need to write some meaningful content, because this is what we will evaluate to decide which are the best solutions for Raptor this year. So you can see on the Excellence tab that there are 3 questions. So this is reflective of what you will find in the Awards Force platform if you go there now. So you, of course, first need to explain your understanding of the city challenges. What are the key issues that you will be able to resolve with your challenge? Very importantly, of course, is the solution description. So what are you planning to develop? How is this an innovative solution? How is this going to be a good solution for the city challenge? And then also we're curious about the status of the solution. So is this something new? Have you developed a similar product before? Is this an existing product? Do you have IP? Give us a picture of the past history of the things you've developed related to this product. Then on the next tab, which is impact, you see these are the questions you will be asked. So here we're curious about things like the potential impact and the potential scalability of your solution for different types of contexts, different types of towns, the long-term kind of picture for the solution that you're proposing. a bit more about scalability in terms of how you see it operating in the market, commercial potential, these kinds of things. And then you can see that there is the fourth question there asking about the FSM, which is what our colleague Arthur just presented. So here you need to tick a box and let us know which of these options would be your preference. And also at the end of the impact section, we have some questions about your business and some things about what is your commercial approach? Have you done some market analysis? Who are your competitors? These kinds of things. And then the last tab is called implementation. So here is where we are curious about your team, your skills, your experiences, who will be working on the Raptor project if you are selected for Raptor this year. We're also curious about what types of things you would need access to. So this assumptions and requirement question is asking, will you need access to certain types of infrastructure like a section of road or pavement or some lampposts, or would you need access to data? Are you assuming that you would be able to get certain types of data in order to make your solution work? So we need to know in terms of the feasibility, how it could be implemented in that sense. And then the last thing you see here is the budget. This is exactly what Jan presented earlier. This is the budget table that you would need to fill in with your anticipated costs. And that is the end of the application. So as you can see, it's very simple. The word count is not very big. We're not asking for, huge, long answers. So you need to be concise and you need to be clear. Next, the evaluation process. I think I just have one slide here. So just to give you a heads up about what is going to happen in the evaluation. So what I just showed you was the online application, of course. So our first phase, once the deadline passes on the 6th of May, is that we have some external experts who work in startups, innovation, urban mobility, who are going to read these applications and who are going to score it based on the criteria. And the criteria is in our call. So this is all online. It's very transparent. And so every application will receive a score based on the evaluation of these online applications. And then what we will do is the top 3 applications, so the highest scoring 3, will then receive an email and they will be invited to a panel hearing. The panel hearing will be on Zoom. And what you would encounter there is basically a panel of some experts and also some people from EH Urban Mobility. It's about a 15-minute panel. It's not super heavy. You would be invited to give a brief pitch, and then there's a series of questions and answers. So we would ask you some questions and this kind of thing. And then that's how we would determine who is the top applicant for each of the Raptor City challenges. So that's the application process. If you want more specific details about the evaluation and criteria, things like that, you can see it in the call document that's online. And now I will send it back to Jan.
Thank you very much, Taylor. So now from the application and evaluation steps to the awarded project. So what happens once, if you're one of the 12 selected startup or SME to work and develop your solution for the Raptor program? So if you remember one of the first slides Taylor presented, we were focusing on the part from August to December. The most exciting part, which is when you actually have to develop your product and solution in order to address the city challenge. And then we have other steps that are also very important. So in July, we'll have a first deliverable called a kickoff report. I will come back to this later. And the first 50% of the 35,000 euro payment will be sent to you once we have this kickoff report. And then the approach is the same in December with the final steps, with the final performance report and the report on KPI. All of them are very simple. As explained with the lump sum mechanism, we want to avoid any heavy EU-handed work that you might have to do in terms of reporting. But once you deliver these 2 deliverables, you will receive the second half of the payment. So what are these deliverables about? So if we look first at the kickoff report, the deliverable one, what does it include? First, you would need to send us a digital version of your business registration documentation. Any startup or SME that apply to the Raptor program should have it. Then a signed subgrant agreement. So this is the agreement that gives you the 35,000 euro and establish the relationship with EH Urban Mobility. And then a letter of intent about the FSM. My colleague Archie already presented the what the FSM agreement is, financial sustainability mechanism. The initial discussion will take place in July. Who should attend these discussions are someone with the decision power in your startup or SME. It could be the CEO, the CFO, and the objective would be to understand the financial sustainability contribution mechanism, collect information such as your pricing policy, sales forecast, with the purpose to have this letter of intent signed by the end of July before we kick off the project. And then moving to the deliverable to the final performance report. So what does this deliverable include? First, the signature of the financial sustainability mechanism agreement that will be should happen before the 15th of December when the project closes. The city acceptance letter, which is a document from the city validating the pilot that took place for a minimum of 1 week throughout the Raptor program, and also making sure that you comply to the branding requirements. You can have a look at them. Everything is transparent, as Taylor was explaining, and we have it in the call. That could include, for example, having the EET Urban Mobility logo on the homepage of your website. So now, the last one is the report on KPIs. This one is very simple. It's a one-page template, and you attach the invoice showing that someone has ordered and bought from you. What is it? It's basically saying that we delivered as a startup or SME a solution and tested it. To be able to prove that the investment through Raptor actually led to something tangible as a solution, you should be able to show that someone has bought from you 10K of service or product. So here, it's important to understand that some solutions might be an app base that would cost €5 as an example, if it's for users. And it can be either accumulative or specifically one client that buys a product or service from you. It doesn't have to be the city with whom you're working through the Raptor program. And you have to be able to show that someone has bought from you before the end of December. And it can be an acceptance of an invoice from the buyer or paid invoices. And one very important point, a part of it could be paid this year and maybe part of it next year if you've got an ongoing service, and we can work together to help you understand the when around that once you're selected and kick off the Raptor project with us. So to conclude, we reduced it to three deliverables to make it simple for you: kickoff report, final performance, and report on KPIs. What are the next steps? So as explained, we have our 2 Q&A sessions next week. So you can find the links to these Q&A sessions on our Raptor. Will be on the 21st of March from 10 to 11 with the cities of Ajka in Hungary, Akureyri in Iceland, capital of region of Denmark, Debrecen, Dubnica nad Váhom in Hungary and Slovakia, and Helsingborg in Sweden. So that will be for the first. How would it look like? We'll have 10 minutes of introduction by Taylor and I, and then we'll leave the floor to cities to present their challenges, and you will have time for Q&A to ask questions to cities about their challenges, and that will be very useful for you in order to make sure that your proposed solution fits to what the cities needs and tailor your application to it. Then the second one will be the same model with the cities of Ankara, metropolitan area of Barcelona, The Hague, Mechelen, Munich, and the Stuttgart region. So, well, it was a pleasure presenting the Raptor call.